Welcome back to the Earn by Experience podcast, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Ben Browse. This week, I had Kate Addis on the podcast, and recently, Kate had stepped down from a position that she held on the school board of directors for our local community, and I reached out to her and just wanted to unpack a little bit more of her exit speech, and just curiosity got the best of me. So I reached out and she was able to come on and explain a couple of things. So I hope you guys enjoyed the listen, and it, gives her side of a little bit more in depth of what actually happened and what's going on. And I just want to say thanks for everyone that tunes in each week. I really appreciate the support that everyone shows the podcast, and we'll see you next week. Kate, it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
I'm super happy to meet you and hang out and get to know you. I've been looking forward to this for, I don't know, I guess a week now, or a little over a week. But I just thought it was super interesting that you came up in the news, and
A lot.
yeah. What'd you think about all the press that it got?
Honestly, I was, and I've said this to a couple people, I'm like, maybe I was just ignorant about, obviously, the position, but the idea of stepping down, and I honestly did not think it was going to draw the attention that it did. But it did, so
Yeah.
gotta just roll with it at this point until the next big story comes out.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me. And one of the things that I've wanted, and I know I said this earlier, but it doesn't affect me at all. My kids are homeschooled.
Right.
And so I was just genuinely curious. I look at you as a strong, member of society, and, I know that our kids played baseball together, and, it just spoke to me that
Right.
maybe I need to try to get you on. And one of the things that I actually have a friend, and I won't go too deep into it, but I was going to try to get a teacher on the podcast just to open up, some concerns that I'd heard about, and it was a no-go, and then
You're probably not going to find a teacher to come on your podcast to discuss any issues,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
which is okay. Totally, okay with that. But I just kind of had not a feeling, just listening and kind of looking around and all the things. And I'm like, man, there's something to this. I don't know what it is, but there's something where another strong member of society and just a genuine human, nice lady. And I'm like, man, she carries this burden around like it's like going to hurt her. It's depressing to see. So I kind of had a feeling there was something going on, and I still don't know what it is completely, but I got a good idea,
Oh, yeah.
And when it was the same day I asked and politely declined, and then my wife was playing the video of your exit speech, and I'm like, I gotta ask.
Yep.
So here you are.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
It doesn't hurt to ask. And I'm always pleasantly surprised that our circles are so tight.
Oh, yeah.
We just know the right people.
Right.
And here you are.
Right.
So
That's right.
I'm just super happy to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Like I told you earlier, I've since stepping down, I've had a lot of the news stations once again reach out to me, but you also reached out to me, and to me, I would rather, if this story is going to get out, I would rather it be coming from someone like you, who I know is genuine, both because we have, some of the same friends, but also because you just see, I feel like at this point I have a pretty decent judge of character.
Yeah.
And I figured that you were just trying to have an honest dialogue and not have some sort of ulterior motive.
No, I just want to have you on here.
Which, unfortunately, like I said in my exit speech, is a big issue with a lot of the media in Worcester County and the surrounding counties, and it is unfortunate. So I wanted to give you the time versus someone else, because I think that you're going into this with the purest of intentions, and that's all I can hope for.
Absolutely. You got my word on that.
Yeah.
I just genuinely wanted to have you in and answer some curiosity that I have. And like I said, I have no skin in the game.
Right.
But it just speaks to me like, why are more people concerned? If this, I don't know, I look at you like a tough, woman that's walking around with this, charisma, and you got good values and morals, and see you just walk away from things that you're passionate about. Clearly you ran and did all this effort and legwork to be there, and then to just walk away from it. I don't know why everyone's not raising more flags,
Right.
So, before we get too down the rabbit hole, I do want to dive in a little bit on your background.
Sure.
If you don't care, I just was curious where you might have grown up, and what your background looks like.
Yep. So obviously a lot of people know that I'm not from here. I'm a come here. My husband grew up from here. He's actually from Bishopville. But I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, Downers Grove. Wow. And went to a high school that I graduated with a class of 850 kids. So really big difference to, like the high school sizes here and just the population size in general. Really big into sports. I played ice hockey and tennis.
Really?
Yep. And,
ice hockey?
Ice hockey, yep.
That's awesome. I guess that probably is. I guess everywhere has it, but
yeah, not. My kids want to play it here, and I'm like, unfortunately, there's no close ice rinks, unfortunately.
Yeah. And even the closest one we had is no longer there.
Right. So I think the closest one now is Easton, which is
that's
just
a hike.
Too far of a drive, unfortunately. But yeah, I played ice hockey and tennis through all of my time into sports in high school. And, if I was not skating, I was on the tennis courts, whether it was summertime, wintertime, I was doing some sort of sport. Graduated, went to the University of Iowa. And like we said, I know that you're from Indiana, and
I'm gonna come here too.
Almost went to Purdue and decided against it. Went to University of Iowa instead, and that was honestly where I got my background primarily in education, which furthered my experiences when I came here. Because when I was in the University of Iowa, I started doing this program called Camp Adventure Youth Services, where we were trained throughout the school year, and then every summer we were sent to different military installations that were all over the world. So
wow.
The first summer I was a camp counselor in Germany on an army base.
No way.
Then I was in, where did I go next? I was in South Korea for my final year, but I was also in Marshall Islands, which is in the South Pacific.
Wow.
And Okinawa, Japan. That was the second place that I went to. So,
wow. And what were you doing there?
So I was running day camp programs for the kids that lived on the military installations there. Wow. So I was on three Army bases and one Marine Corps base.
So it's home away from home with the people.
Yep. But you are at least, you can go out and experience the culture, and then you can come back to your safe, military installation.
That's
awesome. Met a lot of great people. Really learned a lot of great work ethic. We trained, like I said, all during the school year. We had to learn all of the, everything that goes into a camp program, all of the camp songs, the skits, all of the games, and everything that has to learning how to communicate with these kids, because it was a completely different world in the sense that we went to these military bases and were sometimes essentially the closest caregivers to some of these kids. Because during that time, it was between 2005 to 2008, I was doing this. And that was, the height of the Iraq and Iran wars. And there were a lot of times that we had kids in our programs that either one parent was deployed to those places or both parents were deployed and they had a grandparent taking care of them.
Wow.
So I really saw the firsthand experience of how it affected military families with war.
Wow.
I had kids that just did not handle it well.
I'm sure.
And it broke our hearts. But that was actually how I met my husband. My husband was in the Air Force, and I was in South Korea at the same time he was.
No way.
We were on bases that were 3 hours apart from each other, but I met him at a mud festival.
Really? In Japan?
In Korea. Yep,
Oh, okay.
in South
Okay.
Korea.
Wow.
And, we dated out there, and then we went from seeing each other every weekend to having the longest distance relationship I think someone could possibly have, which was a 14-hour time zone difference.
Wow.
So I would be waking up in the morning to say goodnight to him.
That's crazy.
But he came, back to the States and was then stationed in Florida, and that was my last year that I was at college. So I literally he came up to see my graduation, and then 2 days later helped me move down to Florida with him.
Really?
Yep.
That's
so we
awesome.
went from a long distance relationship to living together. So,
in Florida?
In Florida.
That's
yep.
awesome.
So, but, we would come back every year out to this area to visit a lot of his friends. We would always do these trips to Hatteras every year. And, he had made it a point that he really wanted to come back home. And I saw the exciting part of it, living close to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, milder winters than what we're used to.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'll definitely go back there. So we ended up moving back here after his time in the Air Force and been here ever since.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Well, shout out to your husband. Thanks for your service.
Yeah, no problem.
That's awesome. And what an awesome story that you guys were thousands of miles from the United States, and here you are meeting each other.
But then when I came out here, I started working for Wicomico County Recreation Parks and Tourism.
Okay.
I was their child care program director. Okay. So for about 4 years before I had kids, I was running all of their after school and summer programs for Wicomico County.
Okay.
So, is
that like coordinating or scheduling
everything.
Or just making the events?
Everything.
Okay.
Start to finish, right down to the theme weeks of those programs, creating the flyers, hiring the staff, training the staff, making sure that they're following the standards that were in place for all these programs, sometimes having to fire staff. So it was an all-encompassing job dealing with the budgets of all those programs. And then, the other side of things, dealing with issues from parents, talking with, anyone in the public side of things that, either had a concern or anything to say, really, that was my main job too, is dealing with the public. So between all those experiences, I just feel like even though I wasn't a teacher, I wasn't part of the school system, I still knew kids. I still had the background of childcare.
Yeah.
And that was, a reason for me to run, because I understand what kids need.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in the education side of things, but just their overall well-being.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like those experiences encompassed everything that you were trying to be.
Right.
Perfect person for the job.
Right.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Heck, I don't know a whole bunch about what the actual seat is for, but sounds to me like that's a pretty good encompassing set of skills to do the job. So outside of looking in.
No one's perfect, but I felt like I had just as much skills as anyone else to do that type of position. So that was one of the things that I had going in my favor, at least.
Okay. So that led you up to where you decided to run for...
Yeah. So we, obviously had kids. First, my daughter came in 2014, then my son in 2015, and then our last son came in 2020, a month before COVID hit.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And my daughter at the time she had done pre-K and kindergarten at Shell Elementary.
Okay.
The plan to do public school.
Yeah.
And when COVID happened and it hit, we're sending all the kids home. They're going to go virtual. They're going to do these class assignments online with their teacher. And we're going to all do the best we can, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, let's give this a try. And it was interesting. You know, having two kids that were not yet in school, and then our daughter who was just kindergarten. I mean, it wasn't, I just say I am happy or grateful that my kids were a lot younger when COVID hit, just because of all the craziness that went along with it.
And hopefully they don't remember half of it.
Yeah, and I am one of those people that, well, my husband and I both, we were adamant about not having our kids wear masks. We just
Same.
we were from the very beginning. We're like, this is crazy.
It's a joke.
This is a joke. My mom will probably still be completely embarrassed when I say this, but I said this is such a joke. And there was, in the very beginning, when they're like, you have to wear masks everywhere where you go. I went over to my parents' house to drop my kids off so I can go grocery shopping. And I said, give me a coffee filter. And I took a coffee filter and I wrote on it, this is unconstitutional, in bright red marker. And I took 2 rubber bands and I tied it around my ears and I said, this is how I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm
that.
like, I don't care. And my mom still is like, don't do that. Just put a mask on. I'm like, why? This is doing the exact same thing that a mask is going to do.
Literally.
And so I got a lot of looks even back then. Honestly, I think that the kicker for us, though, was my husband's uncle passed away within the first, like, it was April. It was the end of April. He was in the hospital for like a week and a half, just body ridden in cancer everywhere. And then my husband was the executor on his will. He passes away, and what's on his death certificate?
I already know.
COVID. And that was the moment. I mean, we knew even before that it was crazy, but when that happened and my husband had to threaten a lawsuit to get that taken off of his death certificate, we're like, we know that this is all just, like, we're not discounting the sicknesses and everything going on, but all this, like, stay home to protect one another and 6 feet away and masks. And I'm like, this is all just a joke.
It was absolutely a joke.
So
4 years of our lives freaking
Right.
gone, pretty much.
Yep.
Seems like.
And so and I pride myself on, you know, everywhere you looked, you were seeing people taking pictures of themselves and their kids with all their masks on. And I do not have a single picture of the few times that our kids ever had to wear a mask to go somewhere to take a picture with it. Because I'm like, I do not want to remember this awful time specifically with any of our family wearing a mask.
I agree.
Ever.
There's a couple of us circulating around, but I don't know. We weren't out there like virtue signaling that, hey, we're part of this crowd that
Right.
has to have this, you
Right.
know. So.
And so that was very much a part of our story with the reason why I ran for the Board of Ed, because at that point in time, they weren't willing to let the masks go. And it's like, are these kids ever going to get back to school at a point where they can just go to school again, like normal? And I'm tired of all those phrases of this is the new normal and we're all in this together and all this garbage. I said, this is just crazy. So we started speaking up about it. And I actually, another time that really changed my trajectory probably of deciding to run too was we were reaching out a lot to, like, Mary Beth Carrozza, saying, you know, this is a big problem in the sense that you had Larry Hogan coming down at the time, coming across the bridge with his entire entourage, walking into these schools and taking pictures with kids, clearly not 6 feet away from each other, but because it was a photo op, it was allowed. It was okay. And I was so upset that Mary Beth Carrozza actually came to our house and had a meeting with me and my husband.
Wow.
And I told her that. I said, you do what you need to do. I said, but I'm telling you right now, it is a slap in the face to parents and to community members and to children, if you decide to go into these schools like Larry Hogan did, even though parents weren't even allowed to go into schools at that point in time.
You can barely watch a game outside from the baseball field.
So you mean I can't go see my child, but a politician is allowed to walk the halls with their germs? What makes them any different? And I told her, I said, do not go. If you need to go and do your, photo ops, by all means do it, but do it in a tasteful manner. Go do it on a playground. Go, do it outside. I said, but you don't need to walk the halls to get your photo op.
Yeah.
1 week later, she went into Shell Elementary and took all of her pictures.
Oh,
and I said, I'm done.
Yikes. The writing's on the wall right there, I guess.
Right. Yep.
That's crazy. She looked you right in the eye. And,
yeah.
Wow. Tells you everything you need to know.
Like I said, I know too much, and it's just frustrating because people will either listen and take you seriously or discount everything that you have to say. But I have no reason to lie.
Right. And I feel like this is just outsider perspective looking in. It's like if you're actually, I don't know. I feel like there's people that passively live, that just do the motions every day, that just exist.
Right.
And then there's people that actually live with intent.
Right.
Right. Like that are actually trying to be part of the community or eyes open.
Yep.
I feel like you could get caught in that circle though of the masks and the photo ops if you're just passively existing.
Right.
I don't know. There's something to that.
Yeah.
It's like you got to be part in it,
Right. And you give public servants a bad name when you do that. And so when I had finally decided to run, I'm like, I'm going to run with a purpose. I'm going to run with transparency. I'm going to go door knocking and let people know what I stand for. Because to me, it was a litmus test. It was, do people agree with me? And in which case that I'm willing to fight for them? Or do they not? In which case they can continue doing what they're going to do, and I'll just reevaluate. My husband and I will reevaluate for us.
Yeah.
But it was a litmus test. I knocked on over 700 doors. I let everyone know what I stood for. And so to me, when I ended up winning, it was validation that my district stood behind the goals and the values that I stood for. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to waver on my opinions because I knew that I had that validation from my community. It would have been something completely different where I just gave a canned speech and didn't really let people know what I stood for. Mm-hmm. Well, then it is difficult to stand on your morals. But knowing what I did and who I talked to and the support that I got from the community doing that, it was validation for me.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be here.
Right.
They want me here.
They want me here, and they agree with me. Maybe not everyone, but the majority of the people who voted for me did. And clearly, that's what I'm here to do then.
Yeah.
Speak for the majority of the people that I'm serving.
Right.
So.
Yeah, the majority ruled.
Right.
You were in there.
Right.
And that's what also, when I first heard your speech, I'm like, well, there's something wrong. If everything put you there and you worked hard for this, to walk away from it, there's something there. Right. So, I don't know. I just, outsider looking in, I know nothing really. And I'm like, why aren't more people concerned? Yeah. Why aren't people, the kids go to the schools more concerned?
People aren't concerned for 3 reasons. They're not concerned because, well, I shouldn't even say concerned. I think everyone's concerned. I think there's a lot of people who are concerned. But being concerned and acting on it are 2 completely different things. And the reason why people won't act on it has been very consistent during my 3 years of service. The first one is if I were ever talking to staff members or teachers or anyone that had anything to do with the public school system of being on their payroll, it was, I don't want to say anything out loud because I am concerned for my job. Mm-hmm. And when I would say, well, they can't fire you, that's not what they're concerned. They're not worried about being fired. They're worried about their day-to-day life in that school or wherever they may be. Because like I said, they're not worried about being fired. They're worried about how people are going to treat them. How is their administration going to treat them? How as anyone knows, it's not when you leave a job just a one reason thing. It's you leave a job because of you are tired of being either treated poorly or not valued or anything like that. And these people that I've spoken to in the school system are scared that their day-to-day life in those schools are going to be affected in a very bad way.
I could see how it could be.
And
just make it miserable to exist there.
Right. To the point where they don't get fired, they quit.
Yeah.
They find a different profession. They not only, change schools, they might change counties, they might change and go to a private school versus a public school. Or I've seen it too where teachers, great teachers, end up leaving the entire profession. I know someone that became a bank teller.
Really?
And I know that she's doing something different now, but she wanted out so badly that she was willing to just change everything that she worked for to do something completely different. Because they can make your life that miserable. I call them the mafia.
Yeah.
Because you can't speak out against the mafia.
That sounds so deep.
And when I would bring those concerns to the board, because I would, and there were a lot of times that there were a lot of conversations in closed session that I would bring these concerns to the board. And the board wouldn't take it seriously because A, there wasn't a name attached to the concern, or B, they believe the administration when the administration says, well, that's not an issue, we're not doing that. Why would they possibly say something like that? The board is way too trusting, and I've called them out on that in open during our budget time, that they are way too trusting. Trust but verify.
Sounds like excuses.
Excuses. So that's the first issue. Teachers and staff and everyone else that works there is afraid of their day-to-day lifestyle getting dragged through the mud. The other issue is that parents, if a child's going through an issue, the parent is afraid that if they speak out, then their child is going to have the same thing happen to them. They're fearful for their child. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, first of all, why would you want your child to be in a place where you're fearful that they're going to have retribution against them?
Right.
And second of all, if that were my kid, that wouldn't stop me from saying what's right and dealing with it.
I can see that.
So I get very frustrated when people say these things because I want to help, but I can't do it all.
Mm-hmm. You're only one person.
I'm only one person. So that's number two, is parents are fearful of retribution for their child.
And I understand.
I do too.
I sympathize with it completely.
Right. And the third thing is that I've heard over and over again is, well, I don't want to say anything because this is a small town and I don't want my name getting put out there and having all this attention on me. And I'm like, so it's okay for me to be the punching bag then of the county?
Right.
For me to stand up for you that isn't willing to stand up for yourself. And I just say this in the nicest way possible, but when you hear it so many times, it just it becomes resentment and frustration to the point of, what am I doing? Because my mindset was, if I get into this position, I'm going to bring all this awareness, which I feel like I brought a lot of awareness. But my expectation is that I'm going to bring all this awareness, and then people are going to come alongside me and start speaking up and start having confidence,
right,
and wanting to speak out because they see that I'm there to be their advocate.
Right.
I'm in that seat to help them, not hinder them.
Right. You're going to go do the hard thing, but I need your support behind me.
Right. And no one was willing to do that.
So you got up there, said all the hard stuff, and then nobody was there to back you. Just up there by yourself.
It almost became a joke amongst all the other board members because what else would you think? If here I am screaming from the rooftops that all these bad things are happening, but I can't give names everyone's got to be an anonymous person, and all these bad things are happening, but no one's willing to come out and say anything against it, then why would anyone start to take it seriously?
Yeah.
Like, I can't be everyone's punching bag. Like, it was okay for me to stick my neck out there.
Yeah.
And to say all these things publicly, which I knew going in, like, that was my job. Yeah, I get that. But I also expected adults to be adults.
And support.
And have a little bit of support as well. Because at the end of the day, I'm like you. I didn't have any kids in the school system. And so I'm fighting for kids that aren't mine, but for the good of our county, because it's not their fault, and kids should be afforded a great education. But I also need the adults to be adults and help, because I can't do it all.
Yeah. That's crazy that nobody would back you. I
No.
mean, it seems like that's part of the whole board administration to work together,
Yeah.
and make things happen for the greater good.
Yeah. I mean, I actually got a phone call just the other day from someone that I know, and this person was more or less just letting me know that this was being said from, some teachers at a certain school. They were disappointed that I left early and I should have came and talked to them. I'm like, how am I supposed to go talk to them if I don't even know who they are? They're not letting me know that they're in support of me. Yeah. They're not putting themselves out there. So how am I supposed to go talk to people if I don't know that they're in support of me?
Right.
I'm like, this is ridiculous.
And it's not like you went in there for a year and just
Right.
called it quits. You were in there for 3 years, right?
I gave it my all for 3 years.
Right.
And nothing changed.
It's amazing you stayed as long as you did.
Right. That's what people tell me that are still in support of me. They're like, we are so sad to see you go, but we don't blame you. We are shocked that you stayed as long as you did.
It sucks when there's good people with the right intentions that just get I'm just going to say it, chewed up and spit out.
Yeah.
Like, you went in there with all the right intentions, with all the support of the community, and then it's like this cloud this behind you, and it's not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
That they signed up to do.
Right.
So I don't know. I could see the whole thing, and I only saw just a clip of it, and I might not watch the whole speech, but that's what opened my eyes to it, and I'm like, oh man, that's mind blowing. And you said this in the speech, so everyone that's sitting there knows.
Right.
If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Right. Absolutely.
Stand up.
I listened to this one podcaster where her tagline is "Get off the bench and into the battlefield," and that's how I feel. Like, stop sitting on the sidelines, and if you have an issue, deal with it. Be part of the solution. Mm-hmm. And if you're not the one that's doing it, help those that are trying to be part of the solution.
Right. At least stand up and say something.
Right.
I don't know. I admire your courage and perseverance personally.
I appreciate it.
And like I said, I'm an outsider looking in. So all this comes from just an outsider perspective, and I just can't see why more people aren't, And then I see the hate online from the posts and stuff on social media, and I'm like, man, there's like a sickness here. I don't know what it is.
I mean, those people were never the people I was trying to help understand, because they are so to the extreme on the other side that we will never see eye to eye, unfortunately. And that's why I said keyboard warriors during my speech, is none of those people. I mean, I would see a lot of these people out in public at functions or, wherever, and not a single one of them would ever come up to me and say, hey, we don't really agree with this, but I would love to understand why you feel like this, or this is where I stand. Maybe we can find some middle ground and maybe not have agreement, but have understanding. Not a single one. It's because they don't want to understand. They want to pin me as this evil person that's trying to disrupt the public schools and disrupt the lifestyle here. And it's like, no, I'm actually just trying to bring it more towards center, because the public school system has gone so far left.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to bring it back a little bit.
Yeah. It's easy just to be complacent though, and just kind of cruise. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's what I think about is like, it's hard. You're doing hard stuff.
Yeah.
It takes courage to do that, and effort.
Yeah.
It's easy just to show up and not doing anything.
Well, I don't want to toot my own horn. I don't like, I feel very humbled by the position, but it's hard to do hard things even when you have support. And it's even harder to do hard things when you're the only one up there with this mindset.
Yeah, beating the drum.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I left board meetings, like leaving and walking into the parking lot and like going over what I had just experienced or what I had just discussed and sit there and I'm like, am I the crazy one? I would have these thoughts all the time. Am I the crazy one? And then I had to quickly bring myself back and I'm like, no, I'm not the crazy one.
Yeah.
It's just that all these other people are complacent and frankly just, I don't want to use the word bought because I'm not saying that anyone's got anything monetarily, associated with them, but they are just so close to the administration. The board members are so close to the administration. That's done by design, that they can't have their own thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's the most frustrating part, is that the administration truly runs the board.
Sounds like it.
And in the sense that I'm going to say a lot of things probably today that not a lot of people know. And you really wouldn't ever know unless if you were in that position. But I feel like, once again, transparency. And if you know, then you can start to not necessarily change your mind, but have a more full understanding of that role. And I always knew that the board members were, I don't like using the word complacent, but weak with their stances. They were weak with their stances. There was really one board member that completely changed my mindset, and that was Dr. Andes. And I don't mind calling him out because I actually called him the following day to thank him. One, because I feel like I had the most respect for him in the sense that I knew he believed the exact opposite as me politically, but whenever we disagreed, he did it in a professional manner, and he always gave a valid reason for himself why he's disagreeing. No, hardly any other board members ever came up with a reason other than emotion.
Really?
Yeah. It was all very much emotion based, and it was very much, once again, people don't know this unless if you're there, but you ask how other boards run. You find out how other Board of Educations run in other counties. The way that it's supposed to run is that when a board meeting is taking place in closed session, it really should just be the board members and the board attorney, so they can discuss the private closed session material.
Okay. In privacy.
In privacy, yeah. Because there's some information that just can't be out to the public, whether it's because of a certain employee or whatever the case may be, or when it comes to like the budgets and figuring out like how much we're going to offer the like salary compensation, all these things. So it can't be out there until it's really discussed and voted upon.
Okay.
But most boards, they operate where it's just the board members and the board attorney and maybe the superintendent, maybe. With our board, with the Worcester County Board of Education, they allowed every single administrator into that boardroom.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So you
were concerned about what you might say.
Well, not only was I concerned about what I would
not you
say,
personally.
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, the whole meeting doesn't seem as private as it's supposed to be.
Correct.
That's all I'm trying to say.
What frustrated me, and this is all just purely my analysis of watching and taking in through these last 3 years of service of how this operated. When board members are by themselves, because I mean, any time that it becomes a sensitive matter, if like we needed to discuss something about the superintendent, like if there was, I'm just throwing this out there, if there was an issue that we needed to discuss, we can say, okay, we need all the administration, including the superintendent, to leave so that we can discuss whatever we need to discuss. And they would.
Okay.
They're not allowed to like
Strong
argue
arm
that.
you.
Yeah. So they would. But, and when it was just the board members and the board lawyer, it was a completely different feeling. They spoke a little bit more freely. They weren't afraid to have a dissenting opinion. It was a little bit more of a cordial conversation back and forth. But when the administration would be in, there were times that the administration, the board members would have a conversation and the administration would then interject, even though they're really not supposed to, and say, oh, well, can I clarify that? And this is why this is, or they would just throw in their own opinion, and then it would change the board members' opinion.
Hey, we're here listening.
Yeah.
We're here. Don't
I
go too
can't
far
tell you
along.
how many times I've seen that where I just get so frustrated sitting there like, you just had this opinion, or I know you would probably have a different opinion if they all weren't here.
That's crazy.
And when I asked the board lawyer, I'm like, I know other boards don't operate like this. Why do we? Why do we allow the administration in during our closed session when it's supposed to be a board closed session? And the response that I had gotten was, well, because they do, different administrators need to give different reports to us during closed. So their mindset is it's just easier for them all to be here to then be able to give their reports when needed. I'm like, so they couldn't all just be in their offices or waiting outside, and then we call them in one at a time to give their report and then leave? That's not easy.
Right.
But because I was 1 out of 7, I would have never, because that would have had been something to be voted on, I would have never had the votes to say they shouldn't be here. They should not, let's have them leave.
Wow. That's crazy. And I'm sure everyone can visually see what's going on.
Right.
Especially when they,
But I went on the Mike Bradley show as my very first interview when I first came out saying that I was going to run. And he's like, well, why are you running? And I said, because the board is weak. The Board of Education is a weak Board of Education. And I still stand by that because they don't know how to think for themselves. And I actually had a conversation with John Andes because I wanted him to know that I respected his opinion so much to the point where I campaigned against him. I wanted someone else in, and I told him this because I said, at the end of the day, I wanted other board members to not look at you for all of their opinions and start forming their own opinions. Because that's why you're here. You're here to represent your district on the values that got you in to begin with. And if you're looking to other board members all the time and not forming your own opinions, then what are you doing here?
Right.
And I've asked them that in multiple open sessions, especially during budget time. What are you doing here if you can't do this, this, and this?
That's your job.
That's your job.
Excuse me.
And if you don't think that you can do it, then don't run for the position. It's not like someone's forcing you to run, or maybe someone is. I don't know. I can't, really say yes or no to that, but who knows? But no one is legally forcing you to run for these positions. So if you don't know how to do a lot of these things, then don't do it.
That blows my mind that there's people in there that aren't steering the ship.
No.
You know what I mean?
They
It's
are
like-
being steered by the administrators when we are technically the supervisor of the superintendent. The superintendent is the board's only employee. Then the superintendent employs all the other members of the Board of Education.
Okay.
But as a Board of Education member, elected board member, they are over that superintendent. But for so many years, even when Lou Taylor was in, it was the other way around. He steered the ship and they agreed with him on every single thing.
That's wild.
All the board needs to hear is this is coming to you it's superintendent for approval. Wow. Every time they hear that it's coming to you by the superintendent for approval, that's all they need to hear. Because they feel like the administration is trusted. They can, and I'm not saying anyone's in there to do evil things, but always trust but verify.
Yeah.
And it's
usually the things are structured for checks and balances.
Yes.
That way things are in order the way they're supposed to be. I mean, that just seems like it's completely backwards.
Yep.
Huh.
And
that's only our systems, not Wacomico
well, I mean,
or somebody else's
I
like
can't
that?
speak. I know for a fact that's not how Somerset is.
Okay.
There's other. I've had other conversations with other boards, just asking
Yeah.
questions,
Curiosity. Yeah.
and nope, that's not how they do things.
Okay.
I mean, you watch other board meetings in other counties. They have a very select group of people that are sitting up at the board, and it's usually just the board members and the board attorney and the person who's taking the notes and maybe the superintendent. But everyone else is sitting in the front row, ready to give their reports. They're not sitting up on the dais with everyone else. But and like I said, it's done for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's done because they do their best to try to befriend the board members. And I don't want to say that I mean, I was cordial. I, shared laughs with the board members and connected on, a professional level, but I would never, once again, most people don't know this, but before every single board meeting, you would have closed, and then they would take a break, and they would go into open. Well, during that break, they're being served lunch. To me, I feel like, A, it's a waste of taxpayer money. Why do we need to have a nice, fancy lunch? And B, I'm like, I don't want to sit in there and start to let my guard down.
Mm-hmm.
And then it affects how I vote.
I can see that.
And so I would never, maybe the first or second time that I, was first, sworn in, I went back there. And then I quickly realized what this is all about.
Mm-hmm.
So after I quickly realized that, I stopped going. So I would be the only board member sitting in the boardroom while everyone else went to go have lunch.
Wow. There should be a sign right there.
Right.
That's sign number 1.
Right.
Hey.
And so, but that's their time
Uh-huh.
to befriend the board members so that everyone can feel like they're all buddy-buddy, so that when it comes time for a vote that may be controversial,
it's harder to say no.
It's harder for them to say no.
I can see it.
And that, like I said, this is all my analysis. This is all the way I take it.
Mm-hmm.
But it is what it is. I mean,
you were there.
Right.
You're, first account present. So,
right.
if anybody else wants to come in here and contest it, go for it.
The only time that I ate with them was when I had to. If we, like, during the superintendent search, and we were there for, a 6-hour stretch. And we had to, because there was times where we ate and we were discussing, we were still considered, in our closed meeting, then I ate.
Well,
in a meeting or whatever, but I didn't just go to go.
Yeah, I imagine those are some long days too, so you have to eat.
Right.
I'm assuming.
Right.
You're human too.
So I'm like, but my mindset was I tried to bring as much exposure to the budget as I could. And I felt like, everyone always used the word fraud. I'm like, I don't know if they're really being fraudulent. I said, are they being wasteful? Yes. Do all of our administrators need really nice vehicles to drive around in? No. Should those vehicles just be parked at the Board of Education if they do have them assigned to them, so that when they come into the office for the day, then they can use those vehicles to go where they need to go and then keep them parked at the Board of Ed in off work hours? Yes.
Seems reasonable.
Do they need to have, does the superintendent or the assistant superintendents have to need to have super nice, what are they? Tahoes or Expeditions or whatever it is, like fully loaded?
Really?
No.
Wow.
To me, why don't we get them like a Ford Escape that gets really good gas mileage?
Right. With crank windows.
And like, that's your vehicle.
Yeah.
Why do they need to have some prestigious vehicle that's better than mine?
Right.
That's my tax money, and that's everyone else's tax money that I don't want to see wasted.
Yeah. Another thing that I was going to ask you about was you'd mentioned in your speech that the budget that were portrayed isn't exactly the budget or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Like it's
the maintenance of effort aspect of it.
Yeah, like we're not given the full story
Yes.
of what the it's like we meet our taxpayer whatever
Yep.
burden covers it,
Yeah.
but it's portrayed like it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then they seek more, or there was something to that.
I should have brought all the numbers because I'm not. I honestly cannot remember the exact numbers from last year's budget, but just to give round numbers. Well, first of all, before I even go into round numbers, the terminology that's been used over the last couple of years is what I brought up in my speech, because it has frustrated me so much every single year. Every early spring, come January, they're probably going to do it again, where they start going from school to school to school to give their budgetary talk about what they're going to be asking the commissioners for, and that they want it to be, quote unquote, fully funded.
Okay.
Well, what I was trying to let people know is, because they have been deceived over the terminology that they're using, anything at maintenance of effort, or MOE, is considered a fully funded budget.
That's what it was.
Right.
So I picked that up in your speech.
Right.
So it is fully funded.
Every year it's fully funded.
The maintenance part.
Right.
Which is this exactly what they need, plus probably is it with increases in percentages of whatever.
So maintenance of effort is a number that is formulated by how many pupils are in the school.
Okay.
So that fluctuates by the attendance.
Okay.
So if they have less kids in attendance than they did last year, then the maintenance of effort number goes down than it was the year before. But if the maintenance, say the numbers of attendance were exactly the same, then that maintenance of effort number is whatever last year's budget total was.
Okay.
So that's why, to me, it's so imperative that people understand what it is, because it increases the maintenance of effort increases every single year anytime that there is anything given over maintenance of effort. So for example, last year they were given 6.7, I believe, million over maintenance of effort.
Was that considered a fully funded?
Maintenance of effort is a fully funded budget. So they got 6.7 over the maintenance of effort.
But is that what they're calling a fully funded?
But to them, that was not a fully funded budget, because they asked for 11.
Oh.
So they did not get a fully funded budget in their eyes, because they asked for 11. Over. And they only got 6.7.
Wow.
So to me, I'm like, 6.7. You look at every other department in the county, and they're having to cut their budgets. They're only getting 2 or 3% over what they're asking for typically, and we're getting
significantly
6% over, 7% over.
Any idea?
To me, that's pretty darn good for 1 year.
What's the the accountant of not the accountant, but where does that money go if it's over the budget?
Well,
how do they even spend it?
They claim that it goes towards paying for higher salary increases every single year.
Okay.
And then that's primarily where they say it goes. But the thing is that the Board of Education met with the commissioner. It was a joint meeting. I believe it was 2 years ago. And it was the accountability board for the state. AIB is what the short
acronym.
The acronym is. Thank you. And they came to us, and they legitimately told the commissioners and the Board of Education, we were all sitting there, and they said, judging by our formulation of numbers, your maintenance of effort should only be about 70 million. Well, our budget last year that the county was paying was 100 and some million. So we're already paying $30 million over what the state says that we really need. So it's something that I've always said. We don't have a funding problem. We have a priorities problem. And all these people took it and decided to change it to their narrative. But I'm like, you aren't listening to what I'm saying. We have all the money that we need. Mm-hmm. We are just not putting it into the right places. We're not funding appropriately where these things need to go. You look at the administration salaries that some of these people are making, and then you question why we're not paying our starting teachers more, maybe the administration, who was making already $180,000 plus, should maybe say, well, I don't necessarily need a pay increase. If the teachers are so important to me, like I portray to the public, then maybe I should forego my raise and get the starting wages up.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, that would be my take on it.
Yeah. Well, I think to me the biggest thing that I'm taking away from that whole conversation, just that one piece, is it's already completely overfunded.
Yes.
And it's overfunded like twice.
Right.
Originally.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that if I'm breaking it down correctly, they're already getting more than what they should be getting, and then they're going and asking for more
every single year
above the maintenance line that's already 30 over.
Correct.
Wow.
But no one realizes that, because
that's insane.
When they go to the commissioners with this ask of this $11 million, they say, well, this is our ask, so fully fund it. Mm-hmm. But like I said in my speech, not everyone, like my kids come up with this extravagant Christmas list. Do I fully fund that every year?
Right.
No.
You break it down to what is usable.
You cannot possibly fully fund a wish list every single year. If we could, that would be great. But we can't. There are other places that money needs to go, and that's the job of the commissioners.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in the last couple of years, the commissioners have now been demonized by these people because they hold the purse strings, even though it is not the commissioners who set the salaries of the Board of Education. It's the Board of Education's job. So really, to me, it's just a lack of wanting to do your job as the Board of Education and putting it solely on the commissioners. They're doing their job. They're setting the budgets. They're saying, this is how much we're going to give you. Now it's up to you to set your own budgets, set your own, plan of action of how you want to spend your money.
Yeah.
And if you have to forego something here and there, then you need to figure out how to make that work. That is not on us.
Yeah.
That is on the Board of Education.
Makes sense.
And
I mean,
the fact that they're using this fully funded budget is complete garbage, because they are fully funding it every single year. They're just not fully funding your wish list.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but who does that?
Well, nobody knows about it.
No. And they don't, but the problem, and that's why I get frustrated. They don't know about it, or they don't understand it, but they're not willing to ask the questions. They're willing to consume the information that comes at them the quickest and the easiest way possible. They're going to deem that as the truth, and then not look outside the box to see if that's truly the truth, or if it's, something different.
Yeah. Do you think that they're just so inundated with other tasks and jobs and things, and I'm just being devil's advocate. The commissioners and things that actually approve these budgets, where it's easier just to be like, you know what, it's only 30 over or 11 over, just let him have it.
Well,
because of the amount of work. I'm just being devil's advocate on their side. It's like, are they inundated with so many other things that it's just easier to say yes than it is to sit there and think about it and make a hard decision?
So what happens with a maintenance of effort is they are required by the state to give the same maintenance of effort last year. So using round numbers, say the Board of Ed budget was $100 million last year, and nothing's changed, nothing like pupil related, no, attendance related. Everything's the same.
Does that account for the increases of cost of living and things like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So the maintenance of effort is $100 million, but then they receive $6.7 million in their new budget. So then the next year, that becomes $106.7 million as the maintenance of effort.
Yeah, so the line keeps moving.
Yeah, so they can never pull away. Mm-hmm. They can never say, okay, well, that's too much, we're going to take $10 million away. They can't do that. They're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
But the only problem is that
moving.
Yes,
they keep moving the goalpost.
The ceiling keeps rising, and they can never get back to what they used, which is why they try to be so careful with spending our money, because they know that once they give this amount of money, that becomes the new maintenance of effort, the new baseline.
Which blows my mind. You already said that that's even 30 over from what the
Right.
state's actually saying that it should be in the first place.
Correct.
That's insane.
Which I'm sure that number's gone up in 2 years, but it's still not anywhere near, what we should be at.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that's eye-opening.
Yeah.
For a citizen of the county and
It's unfortunate. Like I said, it's just unfortunate. And I blame this on the commissioners, and I've had conversations with them. I said, look, you need to put the same amount of information out that the Board of Ed does to help the public understand why you're making the votes that you make and where you're coming from, because all they're seeing is one side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And society has proved that it's easy to see something that's coming at you quick and easy and not do any homework to validate whether or not that's true or not. And then when you, like I said, when you have local newspapers validating what the Board of Ed is saying and not putting the whole story out there, it's extremely frustrating.
Yeah, and then you only hear it from, say, my perspective, where, say, you come, I'm just using this as an example, where you come up and you're the only one that voted no, and then you're the villain.
Right.
And it's like, sounds like it's just being common sense to me.
You're
looking at the facts.
They are being good stewards of our money. They're trying to be good stewards of our money, and I don't fault them for that. And I'm not saying that because my kids aren't part of the education system. I would say that even if my kids were in the education system, because if it gets out of control, guess what? All of our taxes are going to go up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I made the comment that I did. Instead of building these huge, architecturally, beautiful schools, maybe we need to start looking at how we can cut the costs of those buildings, make them more efficient, make them more safe, and put the rest of that money into the classroom.
Right.
To the teachers.
In education that the kids can consume or the teachers benefit from.
But everyone's so concerned about what the new school is going to look like. It's like, who cares what it looks like? Build a square building that's 3 stories tall and make the kids walk up and down the stairs. That's what I did, and I didn't have any problem with it.
Yeah. Devil's advocate again. Do you think that the presence, though, is a statement of the community and what taxpayers see physically? And that's what, that's what our money's going for. And they like to see that visual stuff to know that it's accounted for.
I do and I don't, because to me, I would rather know that the quality on the inside is better than the quality on the outside.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, do you think that there's a mindset to that where it's like, it has to be this big flashy building?
Oh, I'm sure.
To where
I guarantee it's, we've got to, I'm not really sure what the mindset is, but, obviously they hired these builders these are products of their work. So they want to build the biggest and most beautiful building that they can to showcase their work.
Yeah, as a statement.
A statement.
Yeah, I was just curious if that's, and then it looks good to the state and people want to move here, and then the population becomes bigger, and you can see it from all angles, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I think my thing is you can make a beautiful building by reducing the cost and still, to me, making it even safer than what some of these are. Yeah,
I mean, common sense says safety and obviously pay the teachers more salary to do a better job and appreciate them more. And then it goes into the students. And what blows my mind is it all goes back to the community.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, these kids, eventually, if the goal should be on them, in my opinion. That's our future. Right. Whether we want to face it or not. Like, we're all going to get older, and they're going to be the ones to take over and run this place, you know? So it's like, why wouldn't you want to put the effort in there?
Let's be honest, a first grader doesn't care what their elementary school looks like.
Right.
They just know it as their school.
Right.
So why does
the teacher makes the impact on the student?
Right.
I can tell you that from my own hand experience. I remember my first grade teacher.
Right.
I don't remember the school. So, I mean, I do remember the school, but its architectural looks and things didn't matter. It was the person that was giving me the knowledge and spending time with us.
Right.
So, yeah, that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It blows my mind that it's not more common sense based.
Nope.
Like, we're just regular people doing regular stuff.
Right.
when it goes back to like how you balance your budget at your house. It's like, well,
Right.
this is how we normally do it.
And
I don't know.
you wouldn't expect the commissioners to drain their rainy day fund just to fund you. Like, that's supposed to be there. So when they say, well, we know that you have this much money in the reserve, so why not give us what we're asking for? Because that's not the point.
How do they know that there's a reserve?
Because it's public
Is it
information.
public?
Every
Okay.
year they have to, at a certain point, I forget when that time frame is, but they have to let everyone know, like, how much that they have in reserve and everything else. But
That's a bummer. Why can't that be kept secret? You know, I know you
know.
don't have the answer to that. I'm not.
well, I mean, because once again, it's taxpayer funds.
Okay,
If
so all
it's
that.
if it's all of our money, then we should know where
Okay.
it's at.
Gotcha.
You
So
know?
so
It's accountability.
okay, yeah. That's just it. Just seems. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not an expert at anything. I'm a mediocre podcaster, but that
Yeah.
seems pretty,
Well, and
elementary, basic stuff.
You don't become an expert at anything until you have the experience to do it. So
Boom. I'm gonna coin that. That's
Take it.
awesome. No, that's a great point. I mean, it's
I mean,
true.
I wasn't an expert on any of this stuff that I'm talking about.
Right.
But once you start living it and asking questions and having it come back multiple times, that's when you start to really understand the inner workings of all these things.
Yeah. Well, I agree wholeheartedly with everything you just said.
Yeah.
You know, experiences is what this thing's all about.
Right.
You know, so if you're not learning from it, what are you doing?
Right.
That's crazy to me. But you did mention the good old boy system in your speech too.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that entailed, but it kind of alluded to a couple of things that you're talking about. So what is it and how does it exist? And, you know, what is it? Is it a band of people or
I think it's just the mentality. I do think that there are certain people who, because of who they are, get certain privileges that,
Okay.
you know, you and I might not be afforded.
Yeah, using like last names or
I mean,
okay, just
We're going to be
positions.
100% on. I mean, let's be honest here. Our previous superintendent, Lou Taylor, has a lot of experience in this county. His family does. And I would deem him as to be part of the good old boy network because his family has grown this area, and because of who he is, he sits on the Taylor Bank board. Which I have issues with because the school system uses Taylor Bank, which to me that's a conflict of interest. But it even comes into him running for county commissioner, and people don't want to run against him because he's Lou Taylor. Because of who he is and what he's done. I mean, I had a lot of issues working with him that, I mean, he knew what we had to do yearly evaluations on him every year. Same with whoever's going to go into that seat will have to do yearly evaluations on the new superintendent. That's part of one of the things that the board had to do with each superintendent. And I was the only one calling him out for things that he dropped the ball on and that he never fixed. One of the big things that he knows that I had issue with, so none of this is new to him or I'm going to hurt his feelings, is I had an issue with how he communicated. He never told the board anything that we needed to know until right before it went public. And now our new superintendent is doing the same thing. So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And I was frustrated because I'm like, we should know this as board members who are serving the community members should know this ahead of time so that when we are asked about it by community members, we're not looking like we're in shock. Like, what are you talking about? We should know these things.
Yeah.
And he kept us in the dark because he didn't want us to know, because when we didn't know what we were talking about or doing, it made us that much more complicit.
Makes sense.
And he ran the show, not the board members, even though it was supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And so I would get frustrated with that. I mean, I'm not part of the good old boy network. No one's going to do me any favors because of my last name.
Yeah.
But they will for him, and they will for other people in the in the school system.
I'm assuming you don't get a one-way ticket to the good old boy system if you're not going along with the.
No, I definitely think I burned some bridges there, and that's okay. I'm not looking to be in that network, and
Yeah, well, it seemed like your morals and values higher than anything else on your agenda list to me.
yeah.
Just based on what I know about you.
Well, I appreciate that. That's what I strive for, and I go into things with the purest of intentions, and if I mess up, I'm sorry. I'm human. Like, I'll do better next time. But it wasn't because I was trying to be malicious or trying to, have some backhanded deal. And I think some people don't see that, which is a shame. But
you don't know what you don't know,
right?
So if we're not, as a just a regular guy, we're only fed what we're fed with the news, and the papers only cover certain things. So it's like I see both sides where, I don't know. There's just a lot of different factors, but
oh yeah.
If nobody knows, they can't do anything about it.
Nope.
So, but you're out here beating the drum, saying something, and nothing's getting done. And nobody's jumping behind you to be like, "Hey, there's a concern here. What's going on?"
Right.
That's crazy. Also, you mentioned that the system might include, like, actually our local media outlets too, in the speech, and that was shocking to me.
Yeah.
Where, I guess this is considered media, but I'm just open to whatever comes in the door.
No,
really.
I like this approach way better than all of the, news outlets, the newspapers, the social media accounts that they're posting their recent articles on and all these, because to me, this is authentic.
Well, it gives you a whole perspective.
Right.
Not just taking a 10-second clip and condensing it down.
Correct.
Everyone's going to hear this whole thing.
And I have been burned by those people, which
Okay.
is why even now moving forward, I would always say, well, you send me your questions and I'll email them to you. Because A, it's a lot harder to clip something that isn't verbal. And B, I at least have a receipt.
Oh, yeah.
So if a place tried to say that I said something that I was like, well, that wasn't the entire context,
Right.
then I can then put it out there and say, well, this was the true context and this is what they did.
Yeah. And this hopefully gives the full side of your story of,
Right.
What you felt, what you were feeling in there, and the whole situation. So,
yeah. And actually, it was kind of funny because after I resigned, I had quite a few news outlets reach out to me trying to get my side of the story. And I was going to, and I mean, I'm probably not, but I just laugh because I'm like, I just called you out because of how you treated me, A, during the campaign time, and B, during my time on this board. And now you want me to take the time to respond to your questions when you're probably going to use it to spin it
the other direction.
and spin it into the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, so why am I going to waste my time? I would much rather put my time and energy into doing something like this with you, where I know that it's going to be authentic, versus letting someone have another hit piece against me that's going to get, 100 or 200 comments on their Facebook page.
Yeah. And that's another thing, though, that we don't know, because we're only fed a handful of news outlets here.
Right.
So if say the newspaper is one-sided, which we don't know. I don't know. I just read the articles that are presented in front of me. You know what I mean? Say the fire department's got a new budget. Well, I'm just making it up, but like, you're only fed with whatever is given to us.
Right.
And that you brought it to my attention, and that could be in the direction to push me one way.
Right.
You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So
well, and
when you brought that up, I was like, I question a lot of things, but that's not usually one of them. Other than like CNBC and Fox and all that stuff. Yes, I
the major news
yeah,
outlets,
but
right.
I mean, locally here, I think as a consumer, or as a citizen, not a consumer, but just I make as a consumer of the information, that it's just unbiased.
Right.
This is just what's going on in our community. Usually, I wouldn't think there's malicious in it, but you never know. Unless you question it.
And that was where being naive before I ran and before I did all these things, I was in the mindset of people have, usually have good intentions. Mm-hmm. And talking to someone after I resigned they even said to me, they said, and it really kind of stuck with me, where they said, until you run for any sort of office, local, state, whatever type of office, you don't recognize the evils of the world. And to me, that was so true, because you know I did not recognize how, I don't even want to use the word evil, but just people can just be straight up nasty and have no reason for it. And you don't experience that until you put yourself out there with your own values and morals and things that you want to do to try to help the community. People take it as trying to harm the community. And to me, I think that was just the hardest thing, because I'm like, I'm going into this trying to help, not harm. And that was also why I said what I said about the news media and the good old boys club, because I said, like, let's look at our local news outlet, the OC Today Dispatch. Well, who is the editor-in-chief? The editor-in-chief is Steve Green. Steve Green just wrote another hit piece about me, a commentary, saying that my ending remarks were a rant. And maybe some people take it as that. I take it as, this is my final bit of exposure. I'm going to do it. Yeah, but he's part of it.
Can I just give you my take on your speech?
Absolutely.
Your speech to me, I listened to, my wife was playing it, and then I played it back. I had to listen to it about probably 6 times, and I'd pause it and digest what I just heard you say. It took actually listening to it with intent to take away good information, because you said it. I mean, it was not quick, but it was. My brain just has to process information to where I can soak it up. And I was like, said so many things that I can't believe more people aren't concerned about it. And that was one of the, I'm dissecting your speech now, going through these questions. But when you said about the news media and the outlets, and you even said specifically this next election cycle, be vigilant, do your own research. And I'm like, you're physically telling us to be on guard and open our freaking eyes.
Right.
And that was before you even got into the meat and potatoes of the whole speech,
Right. Because that's honestly, and that's the shame of it all, is that people don't do their own research anymore. They take what is most easily accessible to them and take it as fact, and then just assume that they don't need to do any of their own independent research. And that's where I was going to say, like, the next year's election, look at what the newspapers and the local media is saying, because we have 2 people currently in the running for 2 different districts for commissioner. And to me, I believe that they're both part of the good old boy club. Lou Taylor is running for my district, for District 6 for commissioner. And Steve Green, the editor-in-chief of the OC Today Dispatch, is running for commissioner against Ted Elder for District 4. Now, it doesn't matter who you ultimately agree with or decide on to vote for. That's not what I'm trying to say. All I'm trying to say is do your own research, because my thing is, you cannot possibly take anything that is coming from the OC Today Dispatch as a reliable source of your news coverage anymore when it comes to anything in the next year political realm, when it has to come with Steve Green running or with Lou Taylor running and anyone else that's part of that good old boy network, because they are going to be buffering those 2 candidates to only put out good pieces. You mean there's going to be no possible way that that paper is going to be able to put out anything that is not in the slightest of shining a light in a good way on Steve Green, because he owns the paper.
I can see how that has a conflict.
It's a huge conflict, and he's already come out saying that that's not going to be the case, but I don't believe it, and no one else should either, until they actually see that paper holding him accountable on things.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but also to not know,
right.
For the regular person, I wouldn't have known to look to see his name being, running for the school and put it together that he's part of the news system until you said something.
Right.
And then when you said that in speech about the good old boy system and the media, leaning one way, I'm like, man, you're telling me something. I need to do some research on it,
Right.
Not that it applies to this, but have you done any, do you listen to any podcasts or, anything like,
Yeah.
well, I guess my point
Yeah.
I should have just come out and said it. The trying to phrase it how I want to phrase it. This guy I just recently learned about, Chris Hughes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's his name, Chris Hughes. Is the way that things are portrayed, and the way that we're given information can 100% determine which way your brain thinks.
Yes.
And if you haven't done any research on this guy, listen to it's a recent podcast, Sean Ryan.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure his name is Chris Hughes.
Okay.
I
You'll have to send me the.
I will. I'll send you a link.
The link for it.
Got chills listening to this guy. And I'm just saying this so for a regular person who doesn't know it, if somebody knows some psychological tactics, and I'm not saying this guy knows it or whatever, the news outlets, my point is the way that the information is conveyed to you can definitely push you in a direction
Oh yeah.
that you didn't even realize that you were getting pushed in.
Right.
And it could be, a couple of different situations, but we don't realize that we can be pretty much manipulated.
Right.
But also another point is we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
I didn't know this guy has a newspaper, and maybe he doesn't have ill intentions. I don't know. But all I'm trying to say is we can be easily pushed in a direction if you're not on guard.
Right.
And to further that, you can be on guard and be the biggest, toughest, person, but still get manipulated and not even know it.
Right.
So.
Well, and to me, this is one of my biggest things too, especially when it comes to local politics. People have got to get involved in their community because we live amongst the decisions that these people make. And if you are hearing something about one of our local elected officials that you don't agree with or you want better clarification on, instead of bad mouthing someone or jumping on the keyboard warrior bandwagon, email them or call them and ask them. Because as long as you're, professional, those people, and I've gotten to know a lot of these people, both on the Board of Ed and on the commissioner side of things, they will tell you straight up where they stand on things and what their beliefs are behind those votes. So if you don't understand something or you want better clarification, that's what they're there to serve their constituents. They're there to serve their community. And I know for a fact that I've tried to answer, and I feel like I've done a good job with that, of answering all of the emails or phone calls that have come in to me specifically when I was on the board. Even if they were nasty or I didn't agree with them with their email, I would try to respond back. Because at the end of the day, I'm still there to serve you. Mm-hmm. But if there's not an open dialogue, then you're never going to truly understand where someone's coming from.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that's being lost today, is that no one wants to talk. Everyone wants to just stay behind their computers and say nasty things to one another. And I'm guilty of it. I know my husband is guilty of it because he gets called out, and I don't really care because he does his own thing, and I do it sometimes too. And it's frustrating, but it's like at the same time, if you don't agree with someone and you're willing to say all these things behind a computer screen, are you willing to say it to their face? And if you're not, then don't say it. Mm-hmm. Because it's just cowardly.
Yeah.
And
well, it's easy. It's easy.
Right.
You're protected. I get it.
Right.
I could see on both sides. I mean, we could all fall victim to it, and especially if somebody is seeking it,
Right.
But when you talk about, like you as a, sitting in board member, responding to these people, it's nice to know that you're human and that you are obtainable to get in contact with.
Right.
For me, I don't get involved too much because, quite frankly, it doesn't. I don't have any skin in the game. I have no reason to personally, but I can see why people wouldn't, because it just seems unobtainable. Like you're just beating the drum and nothing's happening. Nobody's listening. Nobody's responding.
Right.
So sometimes it takes being nasty or, to get somebody's attention.
Absolutely.
I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I agree with that.
So,
because I've done it.
Yeah, but that's sometimes the only way you can get attention.
But that's the problem, is that is the only way to sometimes get the attention that you need by these people.
Yeah.
And
I'm not saying it's right.
No, I'm not either, because like I said, I've done it. I know for a fact I've done it. But then when I did it, then I was reached out to. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, well then apparently it made a difference.
Yeah.
But to me, if there's no reason to be nasty if you're able to open up dialogue and have a conversation and they're willing to respond to you, which they should be, because they're all public servants. They are there to serve the people. They are there to serve you.
We forget.
We the people.
I know.
We the people are the true supervisors of this county. We elect these officials to be representatives of us and to be good stewards of our money.
I agree.
People forget that because they're not taught it.
Well, yes, I agree with that 100%. We are indoctrinated from day one.
Yes.
You go to school, you're in a line, you're this is how it goes, blah, blah, blah. Go to your 8 to 5, da-da-da-da. Don't think for yourself.
Right.
All these points that you've already kind of laid out. It's easy to fall victim to that until you start asking questions,
Right.
But if and then you get down to the rabbit hole of the news media pushing you one way. It's like you don't even realize that you're getting pushed in these directions, So I see it from all angles,
right. And I love that phrase that you use. You don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And it's the complete truth. But all I ask is that people just start taking an active role in finding out before they just unleash on Facebook or wherever else they're at that they don't really know what they're talking about, but they just want to be there to be there.
Mm-hmm. And another thing too, and I'm just being devil's advocate.
Right.
I love everything you're saying, and I agree with not all of it, but just outsider's perspective looking in is we're so inundated with information.
Yeah.
And all these other battles that we're fighting, like there's so many other battles that we're looking at globally, and Hamas and terrorism and blah, 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 and train stations, and I'm making some stuff up, but like you're just so inundated with information that you almost can't focus on your local government. You don't have enough brain capacity to have the stamina to go do it. Yeah. Plus you're working your 8 to 5, you got your
raising a family,
your family, you got basketball, and you got, there's so many other things.
Right.
That it's hard to keep track of your what's going on, and then to get in the fight is even harder because it consumes more of your time.
And I guess that's where I need to be a little bit more forgiving, because I do take an active interest in it because it is interesting to me. Whereas other people might not find it as interesting, so they don't know what they don't know because it's not interesting to them. They don't really care. But my frustration is it matters to them when it's convenient, or it finally becomes an issue with them personally.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't mean to.
No. Yeah. Keep going.
Finish your sentence there, but I just felt like that's what you were going with.
Keep going.
And, to jump into it, I don't know. It's such a battle that it doesn't even seem obtainable to win, Mm-hmm. But we do forget that it's our local community. It affects us and our kids, and I guess that's what I take away from it. Until you jump into back to like being inundated with information, you're just passively living, and you're just trying to just wait and get through and pay your bills and put food on the table. It's hard to look past much more, and then worry about other things. But it is until you get involved with your community, and say you get involved with your local church and things like that, that it starts to open your eyes to what really truly matters. Right. And that's physically here in front of us. The other stuff really doesn't matter. You can turn all that off and just focus on what matters here. Right. And then you can kind of like localize your focus and to what really matters, know? But I'm just being devil's advocate. There's so many things pushed at us that we don't even know.
And that's the thing. I mean, I'm not saying that everyone should run for local office. That's not obtainable for a lot of people. That's not, it worked for our family because I was able to, mm-hmm. But at the same token, it's like, just because you're not running for local office doesn't mean you're not in the fight. You can donate to these people that are sticking their neck out there, fighting the good fight. You can help them door knock. You can help them create flyers or campaign materials. You can just be there to be a support system for them.
Even just a nice comment. Hey, I stand with you and I like what you're doing. A nice comment
every once in a while. I mean, that to me was the things that kept me going, because when I was getting all of this hate from this one side, I would still have people saying, you're doing the right thing. Keep it up. I'm in your corner. Like, I'm standing with you. I believe in everything that you're doing. Like, that's what kept me going, because I knew that I was doing the right thing. Yeah. And still to this day, I look at, did I accomplish what I wanted to accomplish? And how did my initial supporters feel about me now that is they did back when I was running? And all of the supporters that I had when I was running are still there today, which tells me that I did what I was supposed to do. And I didn't falter, and I didn't, fold to their ideals. I stayed true to what my ideals were. And that to me was key. And frankly, I told you this, that I actually had a couple people that gave me so much grief during my campaign run that either I ran into them or, a message on Facebook or an email, that I had actually some of my biggest, I don't want to use the word haters, but like the biggest people that were pushing back on me came out and apologized after and said, wow, I see what you're trying to do and I appreciate it. And I'm sorry for what I did. And to me, like, that was huge.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was just like, wow, if I was able to change even one person's mind, then I was doing something good.
Yeah, and good on them for actually speaking up and saying it.
Absolutely.
That's
it takes a lot of courage and guts to
go above and beyond.
To recognize that, not necessarily that they were wrong, because they were convicted in what they were doing at the time, but
just to
recognize that they had a change of heart and wanted to say it.
Yeah, that speaks volumes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love everything that you stand on, and I love that you never wavered. And I know a lot of it, not a lot, but excuse me, it seems to me your family seems to be this way. Just from outsider looking in.
Yeah.
You guys aren't changing.
No.
You're not going to conform. You're not going to freaking back down.
Nope.
And it's a bummer for us, not us, I'm not part of it, but the community, to lose such a beacon that could have been, the guiding light to make a change, you know. So if anything, we should be more disappointed that we don't have you.
Yeah. Which I mean, I did hear a lot of that, but at the end of the day, it's like, I feel like I set out to what I wanted to accomplish. My goal was never to be a lifer. Some of these politicians are up there for 3 terms, 4 terms. That was never my goal. My goal was never to be someone that was always doing that, because to me, that's where you get complacent.
Yeah. I can see that.
But I feel like I didn't accomplish everything that I wanted, but I did accomplish enough. And one of those things was opening the eyes of our community. I
think just your exit speech
yeah,
was a nuclear bomb that I hope everyone goes back through and listens to it and really listens to it.
And I hope they do too. And I hope that if they have questions, then, find me on Facebook and message me like you did.
Yeah.
Or if you have a question, ask. Mm-hmm. I am still the same person that I was sitting up on that board of, I'm not going to turn away from anyone that has a question of how they can get more involved, or how they can, like, what is going on, and help them understand. Like, I want to help them understand. Mm-hmm. And I hope that they take to heart what I said.
Yeah.
And maybe listen to it a couple times like you did to really grasp it. And
yeah, that was epic.
Thanks.
It was awesome. I loved it.
I figured it was my last hurrah.
Yeah.
My last get it all out there. Because if I were to ever go back, I only will get 2 minutes, just like every other, constituent.
Yeah, well, you did it. What are some things that you're pumped that you were able to not so much change, but just be a part of, or maybe some accomplishments that you did that you're super proud of, or not even proud of, just some things that you were able to be a part of. Sorry for the long-winded question.
No, you're fine. Let me think. That's
Because I mean, you had to do some good while you're in there.
I did. I feel like, and Dr. Andy's even brought this up to me too when we talked. And I feel like the budget for me was a big thing that I wanted to bring awareness to. And is it perfect even right now? No. But I feel like I at least made them understand that you're not operating like a business.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the school system is still a business. You have a budget and you need to follow that budget. And the frustrating part, I will never forget, the first year that I sat on the board and they gave us our packet of the budget that is just being reviewed that needs to be voted upon. And I'm like, well, where's the rest of it? And they're like, well, this is it. This is the projected budget. I'm like, well, it's only 40 pages. I'm like, you're telling me that a multi-million-dollar school system only has a 40-page budget? I said, I had bigger budgets working with a $400,000 budget in the rec department that I was all encompassing over.
Wow.
That I'm like, this is it? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like,
something doesn't seem like it's adding up.
Yeah. So finally, by this last year, the projected budget came to us and it was like 140 pages.
Wow.
So I was just like, well, at least you started putting in there. I'm like, I want to see this,
so it was more detailed.
And this. Yeah, it was a lot more detailed. It still isn't to my liking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it would ever be to my liking. And frankly, it was a little frustrating because like the first year I was bringing all these things up, and maybe it's just who I am. Like I feel like I'm a very direct person. People might take it as I'm trying to be rude to them or mean to them. And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to ask questions. Mm-hmm. And it honestly seemed like the CFO was like taking it personally. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be rude to you. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just asking, where are all of these things and why are they not in here? And like he took it personally. And it wasn't until we had a little bit of a heart to heart in a meeting of just him and I and another person when I came in by myself to get all these questions answered that I feel like he finally realized like who I was and what I was trying to accomplish. I'm like, I'm not trying to be mean.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to pick on you. I'm just trying to get my questions answered. And I'm frankly shocked and appalled that this is what has been approved for all of these years as the school's budget.
Yeah.
And then I would have the superintendent, Lou Taylor, calling me out in open session saying, well, what are we supposed to do? Give you the budget so that you can see how many toilet paper rolls are being put in all the schools? I said, you know what? If that's what I'm asking for, then yes, that's what you need to give me.
Right.
And you as the superintendent should know a lot of these things that he would never be able to answer questions on because his team did it.
You'd think they'd be more willing.
Well, the best part is that he tried to shut me down during my time as a board member. I ended up voting against it. And then it went to the commissioners, and then the commissioners roasted them for like 5 or 6 hours straight on all these questions. And I was sitting there laughing the entire time because we were all there. And I'm sitting there laughing like, well, maybe if I got my questions answered, they wouldn't have had to roast you for 5 hours straight.
Right.
So I could either ask my questions or they're going to ask them. But either way, they're going to get asked.
Yeah. One of the things that I was going to say a minute ago was when it came, like when I read that you voted against the budget, it was portrayed as like you were shutting down like after school programs and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and it's like,
it was
come
portrayed.
on, man, like you're just being common sense,
right?
And then I'm being fed this thing like you're depriving the students of activities and things, and it's like. It sounds to me like it was just common sense spending.
Once again, it's like anyone who knows me knows that I am a huge proponent of after-school programs. I ran them.
That's what I was going to say. Was your background shows
I am the biggest proponent of summer programs and after-school programs when they're needed and when we have it in our budget. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, what everyone seems to forget is that if funding isn't there, then the mindset of being a steward of taxpayer money is we've got to make our budget work. And when I would question certain things, even within the after school budget or the summer budget, of asking, well, what about the bus transportation? Do we really need to have bus transportation? Or if it's a summer program, maybe families should just be required to bring their children to just like a summer camp. I mean, they don't get picked up for a summer camp.
Right.
So what is the difference? Like, why are we having to spend this money out of our budget when we could potentially take that portion? I'm not against summer programs, but maybe if we lowered that cost, then we could still ensure that it takes place, and it might just be a little bit different.
It seems like a common sense question to at least explore the option. Right. And then even if you could, say get the budget down, maybe it's still going to be there next year anyhow.
Right.
Maybe you could use that for actual activities or new supplies or some things like that. Like any business would, more, efficiency wise, I don't know. Seems like common sense questions.
Right.
At least to bring it to the table and raise the question, and then if it's shot down, it's shot down, but at least ask it, and then have a conversation about it.
But that's the problem with this board. Until I got on the board, I was going steady to these board meetings for a year straight before I actually got on the board.
Really?
And just watching, taking it in. No one ever asked questions.
So these are the people that are sitting in the say the audience seats? Okay.
Yeah. So I was going there sitting in the audience. I would usually give a public comment, which were just as fiery as my exit speech. So I'm sure I pissed a lot of people off even before I even got on the board. But I sat there and I watched a lot of these meetings, and it was just, they would go through the motions and there would never be discussion. It was just, all right, this is what we're voting on. 7-0 vote. Next. All right. 7-0 vote. Next. All right. 7-0 vote. Next.
And that was
the entire, well, that was my point is,
why even have the meeting?
My question is, why are you voting that way? What is your stance? When it was something that was a little bit controversial and they had nothing to say about it, me as a taxpayer was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you vote that way? And until I got on the board and pressured them to have an opinion, no one had an opinion.
Wow.
And that was honestly, I think that was a plus. Whether or not they continue that on after now that I've left, or if they go back, I think it really depends on whoever gets put into that seat, whoever gets appointed into that seat. Will that person, pressure them to speak, or are they going to, I don't know who they're going to choose. Are they going to choose someone that's just like them, or
that's
what
I was going to say. So if it's appointed, who appoints them? And then then you got the question of whether or not it's going to be biased or not.
Yeah. So whoever, that is the one good thing. I do know that. So whoever gets, since I was District 6, the commissioner of District 6, I believe, has to gather whoever's applying for the spot to be appointed in, and then he would take it to the commissioners, and I believe that's how it works, where then he would have to recommend someone, and then the commissioners would vote on that person.
Gotcha.
Thankfully, Jim Bunning agrees with pretty much all the things that I stood for, so I would imagine that he would be trying to find someone that is as much in line with my stances as he can find.
It seems like you'd want that.
Right.
At least, to have some opposition to make sure,
have a voice.
Yeah, but it forces you to explore all the options first.
Right.
At least, it's like why you bounce ideas off your wife or your husband. It's like, hey, is this a good idea? I don't know. Let's talk about it.
Right.
Boom. Pros, cons, pros, cons, pros, cons. And
right.
then you're like, okay, well, the pros outweigh the cons. Let's do it.
Right.
Seems common sense.
Right.
I know they say common sense doesn't exist, but it does.
It does.
For you and I.
Right.
Well,
and I think that was the frustrating part for me too, especially during the budget season, that always came out. And I called out Bill Buchanan. I think I did it twice, 2 different years, because he said to me, I would be asking all these questions, and he would almost get frustrated and say, well, this is coming to us prepared and these administrators have taken so much time to prepare this for us. And why don't you just trust them that they're giving us the correct information? I said, we are not supposed to trust the administration. I said, our job is to be the checks and balance of the administration. Mm-hmm. That is what we were elected to do. And I had to break it down that plain and simple for him. And I don't even know if he still gets it, to be honest. And I sat there, I said, we are the checks and balance. Trust but verify. I trust that they're good people. I trust that they think that they're doing the right thing. But our job as elected Board of Education members is to ensure that they are giving us the correct information. And if I have to ask questions to do that, then that's what I need to do. And you should be doing the same thing. And
it doesn't hurt to have some opposition.
Right. They would take my questions as conflict.
That's crazy. You'd think, in any situation, if somebody says, hey, are you sure that's enough sugar for those cookies? You're going to sit there and question it, whether or not it's enough sugar for the cookies, you know? Double check.
Or have a conversation about it. Yes, because I've had these before without this much, and it doesn't taste right.
It just seems like common sense.
Trust, but verify.
But it can't hurt to ask the questions.
No.
And one of the things that stood out to me when you said that somebody's offended, it's, why can't go back to the regular conversation of, let's ask a question, but not be on defense the whole time. Hey, that always blows my mind.
And
it's like we're programmed.
For me, it was what you say. You don't know what you don't know. I was asking because I didn't know.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have to justify your questions in a way. It's like, hey, coddle him first.
Right.
Mr. So-and-so, I'm not attacking you personally, but I just wanted to know. It's like, and it's business.
Right. You're and that's where my mindset is. We're all adults here, right? I mean, I know I'm the youngest person that's sitting up here, but we're all adults here, so let's act like it.
And given the setting, it's not like you guys are at soccer practice asking these questions.
Right.
This is what you're here to do.
Exactly.
That seems silly to me.
Right.
I'm just a regular guy. Don't know.
But but then even people that were sympathizers of them would then take offense also of what I was saying. Well, she's just trying to stir the pot. Well, she's just, trying to be destructive. No, I'm just trying to ask questions because these are questions that multiple people that when I was door knocking had questions on. And I am here to be their voice.
I was going to say, you're back. you're there in place of us.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we are supposed to do. And if the rest of the board members aren't doing it, then they are not fulfilling their duties as an elected board member. And I flat out asked them, what are you doing here? If you're not doing this, then what are you doing here? Because I actually had board members flat out tell me during budget season, oh, well, I don't know how to look at this budget. I was only a science teacher, so I know science budgets, but I don't know overall budgets. So I'm going to trust them that they're telling me the right thing. Well, if you don't know budgets, then you shouldn't be here. That's like part of this job. Just like when you apply for a job, you look at what the resume means. Part of this job is approving a budget. If you don't know how to look at a budget, then you should have never set out to be a board member.
Yeah, that seems
And I flat out said to her, what are you doing here?
Seems reasonable.
But
that's crazy. That's crazy. Who would get a job?
Right.
Who has the balls to go get a job that doesn't know how to do the job?
That or fake it till you make it at this point. If you don't know, then don't tell me that you don't know what you're doing. You better go home and study the budget until you do know.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many hours I've put into studying those budgets, which is why I went into those meetings with the entire budget book, pieced out with all my questions.
Wow.
But did anyone else do that? No. They might have had a couple questions here and there.
Well, I can see your frustration. I can see how I can't believe you put up with it as long as you did. Outsider perspective looking in.
And to be honest, I've talked and people are like, how's it going on the board? I said, to be honest, I have never worked with a group of people that tried so hard not to do their job. Mm-hmm. And it's extremely frustrating.
I can see that. I can see it in multiple other areas throughout the community.
Yep.
And insert whatever county job, it
Right.
seems like it's just that it seems like it's a prison sentence that
Mm-hmm.
they just have to do their time until they can get to the end to where
Yeah.
they get their pension.
I've got 3 more years, so I
Yeah.
just got to keep my head
It
down
just seems like
and
a
just keep my blinders on and don't rock the boat.
That's
It's
true.
like, well, then what are you doing?
I've heard people say that though.
Right. I
Like
know, I have
that
too.
have other jobs within the community, and
Yep.
it's like, I don't think I could do that, dude.
No.
I'm sorry, I'm going to call you dude, but
No, you're
I
fine.
just don't think that I could go to a prison sentence where I know I'm doing say you're not doing the wrong thing, but the intent is correct, and I don't know, just the whole value thing of
Yeah.
it. It's just like I'm just going to ride this out.
It's kind of like the meaning of life too. Like, what kind of value do you have on your life if you're just, like you said, doing the 9 to 5, don't really have a passion for it anymore? It's not what you want to do. And I get that you're there for a pension. I get that but at the end of the day, it's like we only have one life to live.
Yeah.
So
and then the mindset. This is the well, not this is, I don't know. It's not for fact, but this is something that I've heard is like, well, if I'm not doing it, somebody else is going to do it.
Right.
And it's like, well, there's the sickness right there. It starts with that mindset. Sorry, but and I'm not hating on anybody. Do whatever you feel.
Right.
It's not my position to hate or to take a stance on this at all. But
Right.
just outsider looking in, it's like, that could apply to any other area and any other government or whatever. It's like, man,
absolutely.
that could be the sickness. If that's your mindset, if I'm not going to do it, somebody else is going to. It's like, well, I don't know, maybe
Well, and
maybe
to be
stand
honest,
up.
they're told that.
Really?
Well, I guarantee it.
Oh, well,
I wouldn't be shocked.
it goes back to like what your morals and values say. I'm not freaking doing that, and that's what
Yeah.
stood out to me in your speech. I'm not freaking doing this any longer.
Yep.
So I just. I don't know. We could sit here and beat the drum the whole time, but I just was curious on some other accomplishments that that you felt like some wins.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there wasn't any like one particular win. I wish I could say that there was, but I feel like the budget was a win. Getting more transparency
more pages?
with the I got budget. Yeah, I got more pages.
100 more.
I feel like just being able to show the community that I'm a public servant. Like last year, they want to do something crazy with their scheduling of how they were going to do half days versus no days and like professional days. And I'm like, this is crazy. I said, no, I'm like, I'm a mother of 3, obviously not in this school system, but I'm telling you right now, if I saw that that was going to be my kid's schedule for the next year, I would lose it. And they couldn't understand why. And I'm like, because you don't have kids. Of course you don't understand why. And I know that's not a prerequisite to be the superintendent or an assistant superintendent, but when you're building out these schedules and what they wanted to do was they wanted to split up days where, one day only the elementary school and the high schools were going to be off, but the middle schools were going to go to school. So that can allow all these professional days for all these other teachers that weren't in school. And then on the next time, they were going to have it where just the middle school stayed home and then the elementary and high school went back to school.
That seems silly.
And I'm like, that is ridiculous. If I have kids in multiple schools, you mean to tell me that 2 of my kids are going to have to go to school and 1 isn't? And then vice versa on the other day? I'm like, that's ridiculous. Well, our mindset is that there could be high school students that will babysit the elementary students. I'm like, and what if you don't have that? Like, I don't trust a lot of high school students to watch my elementary school child. But once again, when you don't have children in the schools, when you don't have children, period, you don't understand.
They're not
You don't
thinking
understand
about
that
it
mindset.
in all aspects.
So what I had them do was I said, make sure that when you poll the community to throw in the regular option of what it always was and let them decide. And I said, that's how I'm going to vote of what they decided. I said, if they decide to do your option, then that's what I'll vote for. But if they don't, then I'm not. And it came back overwhelmingly the traditional way. And I'm just sitting there with a smile on my face, like, I told you so. Like, that's ridiculous that you would ever even come up with something like that.
Do you think there's any kind of self-serving motive that would cause that mindset?
I
Makes no sense.
I don't know. I honestly don't get it. And I struggle with a lot of the way that they do things, but because I keep coming back to, and maybe it's the wrong approach, but I keep coming back to, when you don't have kids, you don't understand what parents are dealing with. And no, my kids aren't in the school system, but I do understand what kind of consequence this would bring to a family.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I mean, as far as an accomplishment, I feel like I spoke well for the community. I tried to get more night meetings. They didn't want to. I got like one more night meeting because they didn't want to budge on that. They felt like day meetings were the way to go.
What's the difference?
Night meeting, I wanted more night meetings because, to me, if you want an active community, the only time most people work during the day, and they want to be able to come at night.
Okay, so you're saying for attendance.
Yeah, for attendance. Others. Yeah, for parents or anyone that wants to come and attend, to either watch in person or to speak.
Okay.
Then they would be able to do so. But one of the biggest complaints that I talked to constituents when I was door knocking was, well, why are they always during the day? I can't ever make it.
Why? And maybe it's because I'm not in the loop, and say I'm not in the email system or whatever. My kids aren't in the school, but do they advertise these meetings too, to where they're visible?
They do. They put it on their website. They legally have to.
Okay.
They have to, by law, post when their meetings are.
Okay. And anybody can attend these things?
Anyone can attend. You don't even have, you can just be a taxpayer.
All right. But you just show up and listen.
Right.
And just see what's going on in your local community.
Yep.
My parents never did this. So another thing like I said, don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Never was exposed to that type of thing. My parents didn't do this type of thing. So that's why it's new to me.
Yeah.
I didn't know that you could just go attend these meetings, and you'd feel, I would feel if I went in there, I need to contribute something, like some knowledge or something, but you're just saying You go in there and you just listen.
Yeah.
And just see what's going on in your community.
You hear what they're discussing. I mean, that's how you become more of an informed citizen. Now, I will say that they, one of the things that I was fighting for and making public comments on even before I was a board member was, there needs to be more transparency of these meetings because there's so many during the day. Live stream them. So they actually started doing that a couple months after there was me and a couple other people that would go and speak on that, because It's like, people that want to attend that can't should still be able to view the meeting.
That was the only way I heard your speech.
And so that was, an accomplishment that I got done even before I was even on the board.
It's a win.
But it was a win.
They should upgrade their sound equipment.
Oh my gosh, it is pretty terrible. It's
listening to that video was rough.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like they are world renowned on everything and the greatest school system on all these things, but you mean to tell me that your sound system is that subpar that
it's hard to listen to?
Yeah.
I almost ran it through a filter to take out that noise, just so I could listen to you clearly.
Oh yeah,
that's bad. How atrocious it was.
It's bad.
So anybody listening, maybe they can fix that.
Well, they did the bare minimum.
Oh.
They said, we listened to you. You now have a live stream, but it's the bare minimum. It's everything that they did was just so that they can say they did it.
I get it. And then, I don't even know if I'll say it. I'll say it. Some of the times that you see like the spending, it's like the budget says it's there for, say, like good equipment, and then it doesn't show up or something. It's like, I can see that whole circle too, but whatever. I'm an outsider looking in.
Yeah.
It's just hard to listen to. Anybody would listen to that and be like, I'd turn it off.
Right.
It's atrocious.
Yeah.
The background noise is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't realize that anybody could just go sit in and, just be a part of the community.
Anytime that they have an open session meeting, anyone, even if you're not part of this community, if you came from out of state, out of county, anyone can go listen to their meetings.
Where do they hold them at?
The Board of Ed building down in Snow Hill, which is right next to the tech center.
Okay. Gotcha.
So.
Yeah. It's a slippery slope.
It is.
I see it from a lot of different angles where people might think they're doing good intentions, but then I don't know. It's just a whole thing. It's like, man, communication and just common sense. It seems like it could fix a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
But I can
And
see
the willingness to
openness.
openness.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, just having the conversation.
Right.
I didn't mean to finish your sentence
No,
there, but
no, you're fine.
I see where it could be, everyone, I don't know, it's just a tough situation.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that you were able to do it, and I barely know you
Oh, I appreciate it.
that long,
Yeah.
I can't imagine having to go to it was your full-time job, right? Or
Well,
how
yeah.
does it
I
work?
mean, it's
I don't know I don't know if what I'm,
a board member gets paid $7,000 for the year.
so it's not a full-time job.
No, it's not. I mean, it feels like it.
Who would
at
even want to
times.
do it?
And that's the thing. It's like,
Why would you
I
want
was
to
not
do it?
advocate. I was never a person that advocated for that position to ever get any more money, because I'm like, I'm trying to save the taxpayers' money, not increase it. But at the same token, it's like, people don't realize the amount of work, the phone calls that you're responding to, the emails, the meetings that you're attending, just the amount of research that you put into it. I said, if you do this right, you don't want to be there for over 4 years. So anyone that's been there for 2 or 3 terms, or I don't even know if there's anyone that was there for longer. My question is, have you become complacent and not care anymore? Or are you just that good that you don't need to research and do all these things? Because I'm telling you, I have put hours of my time into reviewing, researching, calling people to help me understand, certain things, and just everything that was involved with it was just a lot that I'm like, I don't know how people last for more than a term or two.
Other than being just an overall wonderful human, I don't know why anybody even want that job.
Right.
Why would you want that
Because you
extra stress?
Like me, I had a purpose. And once that was just kind of like, I'm not going to be able to really accomplish anything else that I had set out to do, then why? Like, my goal was never to just fill the seat just because. So I'm just like, if I'm not going to be able to do anything else, then I'm not going to just be here to be here. Just float on by like everyone else.
Well, especially when your time's so valuable.
Right.
You have kids and family and,
right.
Things that you want to do aspirationally that,
Well, and I mean, I can't tell you how many times that, like, being at a baseball game, I would be on a phone call with someone. And it's just like, I don't want to do that anymore if I don't have to.
Well, if it's not
results, if it's not doing the results that I was hoping for,
or it's not even results. It's probably just the sound of, hey, I'm bringing these concerns, and you've already said this, so I'm not saying anything new. But it's like, if you're just literally going there and spinning your wheels and nothing is happening, nobody's listening, I can see why.
And I'm just the proverbial punching bag.
Yeah.
At that point.
I can see. I see it. I see why.
Yeah.
That is. It's eye opening.
Yeah.
Really. Just a regular person, and I hope more people understand.
Oh, I do too. I hope that people walk away from this and say, maybe there is more that I can do.
I just wish that, well, not wish, but I just think about, man, we need people like you to be doing the things that, and you just get pushed out.
Yep.
And then we're just sitting here and like, now it's going to be 100% unchanged. I mean, it was before you got there, but
right.
It's like, at least you were trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
But I don't know,
Well, like I said, I just hope and I pray that Jim Bunning and the other commissioners try to get someone into that seat that had as close to my ideals as they could, because ultimately the people did vote me in, and even though I did not fulfill my duties and last the 4 years, it should still be their duty to fulfill the seat with the same sort of ideals. Now, someone would have to apply for it, but if someone does, then I'm just hoping that that's the person that they recommend, because that's the only way that they're going to be able to have, cohesion from me to that next person, and speaking for my district.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I hope that person's out there.
I do too. Which is another reason why I'm like, maybe someone will,
Step up.
step up. Maybe someone heard my speech and, really listened to it like you did and said, God's calling me to do this.
I hope. I really do hope that. And I think it was like a divine thing where I asked the question and then I got, politely declined. And the next thing you know, boom, I hear this and I'm like, it's divine. Something's to that. I don't know, but I'm going to explore it.
Right.
I don't know. I just hope that person's out there to do what you are doing and maybe even have more success now that all this information's out there.
Right.
Because the average person doesn't know that it's kind of unchecked and
right. Well, and to be honest too, like I've had so many conversations even with people that are in the school system and after I resigned, and they've said like, well, now what are we going to do? Like, you were the only one that was fighting for us. And I'm like, well, first of all, where were you for the last 3 years? I didn't know that you appreciated what I was doing for you, because all I hear from are the teachers that don't agree with me, that are inundated in the Teachers Association, that are just so far to one side. So I'm like, I didn't know you were out there. And second of all, there is something to be said for, strength in numbers. If you know that there's a group of you in the county that feel like you were agreeing with me, they can't fire you all. So band together, start figuring out a way to work together to get your point across, because right now all you have is the Teachers Association, and they truly do not speak for conservative values at all. And if that's the only people that you have representing you, that was why I said, get out. There's other avenues. There's other ways to feel like you are being protected and that you will feel more valued than our current Teachers Association.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to see if you could run me through how it works, because I don't know. I thought that it was like a teachers union or something.
No, they call themselves a Teachers Association. They are essentially a teachers union.
Okay.
They, from what I've gathered over the years, is that they really pressure you when you first sign on and you become a teacher or whoever in support staff in the school system, that you really need to have the backing of the Teachers Association or the Support Staff Association, because we'll protect you.
So you can't just be a freelancer out there?
Well, you can. Oh. You can. And there are other options that are like a Teachers Association, but are more like nationally based.
Okay.
That will protect you in case like there's a student allegation or something like that. That's what they're supposed to do, is protect you, like cover you, be your insurance.
Okay.
From the experiences that I have heard about and talked to people about, they don't back a lot of people. They take your money, and when you become part of the Teachers Association, you essentially have a vote. So when they go to the budget and they say, the teachers want this much of a raise and this much of a step in COLA, it's the Teachers Association that's negotiating.
Right. But
so
they also get a piece of the pie too.
If you're not part of the Teachers Association, you're not allowed to vote on what they're fighting for. You just kind of get swept in and you take whatever is given.
Gotcha.
But I mean, you go on their website and they were spreading, like, some of the candidates that were running that I was trying to help run in the last election, they were just spreading some of the most like nasty things. I'm like, this is a Teachers Association?
Wow.
And they're talking this nasty about potential board members, candidates that are running.
Yikes.
I'm like, but once again, people either see through the BS or they accept it fully and they think that that's the truth. And that's just another facet of the Board of Education mafia.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, I know I keep saying it. it's all new to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole, even just considering what all, you know, how it is even put together and the
Yeah.
pieces that make the thing work.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think about it.
Yeah.
Shame on me.
Well, no, but not. I mean, I didn't even think about it 5 years ago either.
And you just think that you're going to pay your taxes and your kids go to school.
Right.
You know, hey, everything's hunky dory. They
Right.
have the school lunches are paid. You know, or
Right.
I'm giving them lunch money. And hey, what do you learn today? And that doesn't even go into any other issues. You know, it's like, not that I don't know if you care to talk about it or if there's any other issues, but you know, then it's like the curriculum and are the kids being pushed too early and blah blah blah, and it's like this whole big thing, you know. So
well, I mean, my biggest fight while I was here was the health curriculum and the books that are in the libraries that they have. I mean, like these. First of all, the health curriculum is pushed by the state, and it is some of the most ridiculous health curriculum I think I've ever seen before. That they're teaching. They were teaching as early as I think kindergarten.
oh wow.
And I'm like, I don't need my kids learning these things. I'm like, that's not part of our ideals. And that was my mindset of having them go to school. I'm like, if I have to have them come home from a day of school and then try to, you know, take away some of the things that they were learning because we don't agree with that as a family, then what am I sending them there for? Mm-hmm. Like, I want to believe in the ideals and what they're learning, and I don't want to have to be worried about who's telling them what as far as when it comes to this health curriculum and all these other things. I'm like, that's not our ideals as a family.
Yeah. It's scary.
It was really scary. And like, for example, I asked for all of the health curriculums like very early on. And it was like just mind-boggling to me because the 6th and the 7th grade health curriculums in my mind were like the most extreme, because I just feel like 6th and 7th grade to begin with are still very like early to be talking about a lot of like these things that we even see now as adults, like all the crazy things going on. And like, so they're like the 6th grade curriculum I remember watching, and they had all these different videos. And the first video that they would show, I agreed with. It was the basic. They had real kids discussing, you know, what's going to be happening during puberty, and oh, your voice is going to change and all these things. I'm like, I agree with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. And then every video after became worse and worse and worse and more politicized, to the point that by the last video that I watched, which they say is like the last one I think that they had in their curriculum, it was a cartoon, and it was essentially a grandfather has his granddaughter come over, and the granddaughter saying that my friend's coming over, and because of the name, the grandfather didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. And by the end of the video, the granddaughter saying that we can all be whoever we want to be and it's okay, and essentially convincing the grandfather. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, so this is all in a curriculum for 6th grade. And I'm like, which doesn't make sense to me. In the very beginning video, you have a whole video on distinctions. You're a boy, your voice is going to change, and all these other things are going to happen, and you're a girl, and these things are going to happen to you. So you have distinctions, male and female. All the way to the last video, now you can be whoever you want to be. I said, how confusing is that for a 6th grader? Mm-hmm. I'm like, my daughter's in 6th grade, and I just can't imagine right now knowing that if I had my daughter in public school, she would be listening to all this.
Yeah, that's scary. And the worst part is the parents don't even really know unless they
don't know, or
unless they're asking.
They agree with it, which concerns me too.
Yeah.
Once again, that's like, you either agree with that or you don't, or you're complicit or you're not. And to me, I'm like, I am not going to just sit there and say that that's okay. That's not okay.
I don't understand why we can't just, it's cut and dry.
Right.
You know, like if it's not cut and dry, then don't talk about it.
Right.
Let the parents use their own discretion. And,
right.
and then introduce that.
You already don't have enough time in your day to, you know, teach these kids what they actually need to learn. And then we're going to throw in all this other garbage. Same thing with all the social emotional learning. Mm-hmm. It's like everyone is so into their feelings, and yet we have more behavior problems than ever. Why? It's because everyone is for them and not for, you know, everyone's so into their own feelings that God forbid they're sad. You know, then we all need to talk about that and understand why. No, you can just be sad, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. It's a season. It's going to pass.
Yeah, I've been putting a lot of thought into this, and not so much this particular thing, the curriculum based, but like where, I feel like, say I'm born in the '90s, '90s kid, different kind of era, which you're probably about the same
80s,
age,
yep.
where we didn't have technology, and that was our only saving grace, right? We actually had to communicate with other people.
Right.
Okay, and this is just my quick little synopsis where we would go seek friendship in our buddy's house or your,
Right.
friend's house and get the interaction you needed, right?
Right.
But now I feel like I can see where younger kids, it's more closed off, and COVID kind of pushed everything even closer, and we're looking at these devices now. Internet's more exciting than what's going on around us,
Right.
So let's just look at this thing. But then you're missing the interaction part.
Yeah.
So then you find somebody online, something online. I don't know. It's just this whole thing that it kind of coincides with everything,
Right.
Like where I feel like it's a lot of interaction, and I guess where I'm going with it is like even the parents don't seem like they're giving the kids the attention that they need. So the kid turns to a device or a tablet to seek attention, and then it's positive or negative, and then it's attractive whether it's positive or negative.
Right.
And then I just go, I can't go back to the basics, but it seems like that's what we need, like a little bit of a reset,
Well, and it's the same thing in these schools too. I mean, they have tablets now, starting from kindergarten on up, which, there's been so many studies done that the reduction of screen time should be happening. And I vividly remember, which I was shocked by, I was not a board member yet. It was one of the last board meetings that I went to before I became a board member, and they had the technology specialist guy there giving a presentation to the board. And he flat out said, oh, well, I'm sure a lot of you hear that, there's, these studies done on like the amount of screen time, and that's really not a big deal. We really don't need to be concerned about that. And I'm like thinking, if I were a board member, I would have been like, how do you know that? Because all the studies done show the exact opposite. But once again, all the board members just sat there like, oh, okay, that's great. But like that became a conversation during this whole safety task force thing that I was on, when there was like the issues between the school and the sheriff's department and the state's attorney, where, we were trying to talk about, the safety aspects, and it got brought up about the cell phones and the use of cell phones. I said, why do we not have a cell phone policy? It's like, to me, it seems very cut and dry. Oh, we do have one. Well, do we follow it? Well, no, it's kind of difficult to follow because, we're going to catch hell from the parents because they want their kids to have cell phones. And I'm like, well, there also needs to be, why are they so concerned about always being in touch with their kids? Is it a safety issue, which is what this whole conversation was about to begin with? Because you were just telling me that all of our schools are safe. So now, why are they so unsafe that all these families feel like they have to be in touch all the time with their kids? So they're either safe or they're not safe. And if they're safe, then we should be able to put in a cell phone policy and actually stick to it to ensure that kids are actually learning throughout the day and not glued to their cell phones.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they actually use their cell phones to research things during the day. This is our current assistant superintendent at this time telling me this. And I said, well, if they're using their cell phones to research them, what is the point of the tablet? Aren't we supposed to be using the school-issued tablet to research things during the school day? She didn't have an answer for that. She circled around it. But I'm like, this is the most asinine response I think I've ever heard about keeping cell phones in the hands of all these kids.
We didn't have
as
any
if
of that.
we don't have enough technology. Let's also let them use their cell phones too throughout the day, which was an issue with bullying.
What a big can of worms.
Yeah, like I said, I'm like, I know too much, and I know it's probably like word vomit coming out during this whole thing.
I'm just wondering what's wrong with books.
Right.
What happened to books?
Exactly.
We didn't have any crazy technology. We had Macintosh computers,
Right.
at best. And we would use them to learn how to type fast,
Right.
I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely got some flaws, but I don't think it's too far from being fixed. You know,
No, you just need the right
that's
people
that's the way
willing
I
to
look
fix
at
it.
it. That's the way I look at it. I'm at least excited that you know, my eyes are open to it more, and I'm the wrong person because it doesn't affect me. But hopefully, some people out there listen to it. And it's not. It doesn't seem like it's too far from being a pretty efficient system. You know, on the upside, the silver lining in it.
Right.
And I try to be that.
It just takes the right people, because like I stated in my speech, even though we are a constitutional republic, the board runs as a democracy, majority
If we can
rule,
keep it.
if we can keep it.
I love you said that.
And
Sorry. I didn't
no,
cut
you're
you off.
fine, but it's a democracy. So it's the majority rule. So you want things to change in the school system? Change the makeup of the board. Get a majority rule that actually wants to instill some common sense change.
Or it sounds like if they could just have the board do its job that oversees what it's supposed to oversee.
Correct.
And makes the decisions.
Yeah.
And then things fall into place behind that. That seems like the most reasonable thing, you think.
It does, but until people start to question things and not just go with the way things have always been done, it won't change, which is why they need fresh faces. Mm-hmm. All of those board members sitting up there have been there for at least 2 terms. Every single one of them. Every single one of them has become complacent. Every single one of them has become buddy-buddy with the administration, which clouds their judgment. Other than Dr. Andes, because his judgment has been his way for the last 30 years of his educational career of being a prior superintendent. He's got his reasoning. Do I always agree with his reasoning? No. But at least he had clear reasoning that everyone else then jumped on his bandwagon with. Everyone needs to have their own reasoning.
Is there an incentive to be on the board other than the $7,000 per year?
You can get health insurance through the county.
I'm just saying that's that really seems like
and I would sit there and I would say, well, why? What is the incentive for these people to stay on the board?
Is it a part-time? I mean, is it only like on the night meetings and stuff? Is
it
just
the one meeting a month is your contractual obligation to this position, and I think that you're only allowed to miss like 2 or 3 meetings a year.
Gotcha. But you have to have another job to sustain. Like,
there's no way that someone could do this.
Yeah. Well, see, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought it was a full-time deal where you had an office.
I mean, like I said, if you're doing it the right way, it is a full-time job. But
yeah,
there's no way someone could live off of $7,000 a year plus health insurance.
No, you really gotta want to make a difference in the community,
right.
or you know, have a secondary job to even. I just don't even know why you'd want to do it, other than just want to be a good part of the citizen of the community and do the right thing. You know?
That was my goal.
So, and I see it.
Yeah.
Is there a silver lining in any of it that you can see moving forward?
I mean, I feel like there's always a silver lining. I feel like I've really learned who I was as a person. I feel like I upheld the level of integrity that I really hoped that I would. You don't know until you're in those situations. And I feel like I did uphold that integrity. And honestly, I mean, we've talked about this. You really get to know who your friends are. And I feel like the silver lining of this whole experience from start to finish was I really learned who my friends were. And those people are going to stick with me through thick and thin because they already have.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love that.
So that's honestly, I mean, if anyone wants a gut check to really find out who's in their corner, run for office. You'll find out really quick.
Yeah.
Because honestly, it was disappointing, but then you get over it. People are like, I don't know how you were so strong. And I'm like, you just have to. At first, I wasn't. Like, I would be going into those meetings, my stomach would be in knots. Like, I'm like, I don't want to go. People are like, I hope you enjoyed your time while you were there. Like, sincerely, like, you seemed like you really enjoyed it. I'm like, no, I didn't ever enjoy it. I did it because I felt like I needed to. But I never felt like, oh, this is exciting. This is exactly what I want to do. And, like, I never felt like that. And I feel like the silver lining for me is I just really learned who I was as a person. And now moving forward, I can hold my head up high knowing that I did what I needed to do. and did the best I could.
Yeah, and I love how you exited too, because I don't know if anybody needs to listen to this speech. It was awesome.
Yep.
So you said everything you needed to say. Um, it spoke volumes to me, and I'm hoping that everyone that listened to it spoke to them too.
Yep.
So, but I love that you took away. I see it just the way I met you at the baseball field, and I'm like,
Right.
I just see you and your husband, and you're just like strong members of the community. You just carry yourselves well, talking to your husband, shaking his hand,
Yeah.
you can tell, looking at you guys, integrity runs deep,
Yes.
and I'm glad that you didn't waver.
No.
You know, we need more people like you. So,
And I mean, I don't know if I should share this or not, but I don't really care at this point because they can't do anything against me. But even for the superintendent spot, after the majority of the board voted for the superintendent, I was the only one to vote against her. I like the other candidate better. Plus, I like the fact that she was new to the system. I like the fact that maybe she would bring some new idea and not just what's always been, what we've always been doing. And so I voted against our current superintendent. And the group, MABE, who comes in, their Maryland Association of Board of Education members. They essentially are the association for board members. They were helping us do the interview process for the superintendent. They had asked me, they said, well, now that we know that, Dr. Annette Wallace is going to be the next superintendent because of majority, would you mind changing your vote to make it a 7-0 vote to the public to show unity for the next superintendent?
they asked you that?
Mm-hmm. And I said, absolutely not. I said, that goes against everything that I stand for. And I said, I will not change my vote. I said, I want the people to know that there was at least one dissenting opinion for our current superintendent.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
That blows my freaking mind.
So they wanted me to change my vote before they went public with it, and I refused.
What is even real? Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Wow.
But in those
blows my
situations,
mind.
if you don't have the integrity and the courage to stand up against the machine, you fold. I mean, I could see it.
I can too.
You fold.
I can too.
And I've seen it from other board members in another county that I know of.
That blows my mind that they even have the audacity to say something like that. Like,
because I guarantee they've said that to other people before, and they did.
and it's just for the public eye,
Right?
Just so it looks cool,
Right.
Wow.
Like 7-0 vote. This is our next superintendent. I'm like, anyone who knows me knows how I feel about our current superintendent. Is she a nice person? Yes. Do I agree with her professionally on a lot of things? No. So I'm not going to vote for a person that I don't agree with professionally. That's one of the reasons why I was here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we need. That's not what. Yeah, I mean, the society needs that.
Right.
I should say. I'm associating with the school system.
Right.
Like I said, I have no skin in the game, but I can see the value of the opposition and bringing new ideas, and that's what it takes to make the thing work efficiently and with checks and balances. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a whole conglomeration of stuff. I'm glad you stuck with it as long as you did.
Well, I appreciate it.
Is there any questions that I didn't ask that you wanted to get out?
No, I don't think so. I think you did an awesome job. I know that you're new at this.
Yeah. Well,
I'm new at this too, but you're new at this, and I think you did an awesome job.
Well,
so
thanks.
Thanks
I was
for having me.
Going into this one just running blind and just genuinely curious. I mean, I had a small outline and we hit everything I wanted to ask you. I'm just super thankful that you came in here and sat down and
I just hope that if people listen to this, I hope that they listen to it with an open mind and know that, no, I am still not trying to burn bridges. I am here to try to educate. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to do this with the best of intentions. and take it for what you want. But those were my experiences.
Well, we're getting it right from the source.
Right.
So, you know, at least we got the whole story,
Right.
you know, versus just a clip, you know, some
Yep.
hit piece. And I don't know.
Well, if this
I'm walking
blows
away.
up, there will be another hit piece, I'm sure. So
I'm walking away more informed than I could ever hope to be, and I'm glad it's transparent, it's out there, you
Yep.
know.
I've got nothing. I have no reason to lie.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not out here
No,
trying.
I know you're not.
I'm not
And
trying to nuke anything.
I'm
I
just
just wanted to
trying.
hear what was going on or what had. It's just such a big deal that somebody
Right.
has to get the whole story. So
Right.
no shame in asking. So
Absolutely.
but yeah, I'm glad you came in and hung out.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
This
thank
is
you.
a awesome setup you have here.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you. And I hope, you know, we'll stay in contact and
Absolutely.
see what happens
Maybe
next.
our boys will be on the same baseball team again.
Hopefully. Yeah, that was awesome. Well, we'll close her out and get you out of here and get you on with your day.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
Catch you later.
Awesome.
See you guys.
Bye.